Hey guys, welcome back to Angel Angela. And as you guys can see by the title, I wanted to talk about something that I think is very important when you're dealing with narcissistic people. You know, because I really try to avoid these people at all costs. I really don't do a lot of things where I know it's going to be a large crowds or a lot of people, because I know when you're surrounded by these people, when you're hanging out with people, you're always going to run across narcissists. And when you run across these people, they have a tendency to force themselves on you. They have a tendency of wanting to be seen and heard, right? But I experienced something last night, you know, so excuse my background, you guys, because you guys know when I'm making these videos and I'm not editing them, I'm just kind of lazy, but I still wanted to talk and get a message across, but the narcissist will reveal themselves right in front of you. The narcissist will expose themselves. They will talk about you right in front of you. They will always reveal themselves. Sometimes it's disguised as them talking about someone else, but they're really talking about you. So last night I had this older man. I was like in a downtown area where it's, a lot of young people, and she's basically talking really loud with the dude or her husband or whatever. And she's like, oh yeah, it's a lot of young people around here. That's why I don't really like it down here, because there's too many young people. But this restaurant's really good. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you chose to come over here on a weekend, on the busiest night. You're talking shit. So I'm just listening like she's talking shit. If you want to go out, just go out. You're insecure, or you want to judge people, but you brought yourself down here. Then she basically says, oh, I called the restaurant before we got here to let them know that we want to sit outside. They said that they do have an outside area, but they'll see what they can do for us, because I think they closed the patio section. But I told them we don't really want to be around people. That's how she was talking. We don't really want to be around people like that. We don't really want to be around people like that. So I'm thinking to myself, this lady thinks she's like entitled, special, and she kind of gave me this glimpse of like back in the day when I was younger and I used to waitress, and I ran across a lot of women like her who were snobby, who I remember one time some lady threw her money at me when she was getting ready to pay. When I picked up her bill, she threw the money at me. So when I came back, I was so pissed off that I didn't throw the receipt at her. But when I walked to the table, I kind of like, instead of placing the receipt on the table, I kind of like walked on by and like kind of like let the receipt fly on the table, kind of like, it did a little toss, like, here you go, bitch. Here's your receipt. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna pay attention to you because you're on some bullshit, and I'm not gonna throw the receipt at you, but I'm gonna just leave it on your table without handing it to you, because she kind of reached out with her hand, right? She thought I was gonna hand it to her, and instead of handing it to her, I placed it on her table, like, and then her eyes got really big, and I just played stupid, like, what are you talking about? Because she had triggered me. And even like Another set of people, another group of people, right? Oh, what beverages can I get you guys? I'm going from person to person. When I get to this person, they don't say anything. I'm like, well, what can I get for you? They give me an ugly ass face, just looking ugly as hell. And I'm like, you don't want anything? They're not shaking their head or nothing. They're just literally staring at me. And then I look around at the friends in the crowd, everybody else, like, what's wrong with this bitch? And they're like, oh, she's not going to want anything. I'm like, she doesn't want anything. And I'm like, this bitch can't speak for herself. What's her problem? And why is she looking at me stupid like that? You know what I'm saying? So narcissists will even reveal themselves right in front of you. They'll talk about you right in front of you, literally. They'll disrespect you right in front of you, and you literally won't be doing anything to them. You could try to avoid narcissists, even with me. I feel like it doesn't matter how independent you are, what kind of job you have, even if you work by yourself. If you make money, you still have to interact with people. If you have a business, whatever the case, whatever you do, you're always going to, even if it's minimum interaction with a narcissist, with people, you're still going to come across a narcissistic person. You're still going to come across them talking right in front of you. So what this lady was doing, and this is another thing, people will treat, right? And I don't like to pick at people and their race and stuff like that, because everybody does bullshit. But certain people, they think they could bully people, or they think that they can get physical. They feel like, well, I could get physical and beat you up. So I feel entitled. That the narcissism is different in certain people because they feel like they could beat you up or something. So they think, so the narcissism in them is actually more dangerous, because they'll do something to you, and it's this high school mentality where the bully will try to bully you because they think they could bully you, and then when they realize, like, you're not the type of person to be bullied, like, you're gonna fight back, now they become the aggressors and act like, how dare you? How dare you? How dare you say something to me for disrespecting you? That's their attitude. But with this lady, and I feel like I've ran across her energy, that same energy multiple times, and it's always someone that looked like her. And I'm like, why? What's up with these people? Because really, I feel like if you don't see a lot of people like us doing well, and you see that I'm doing well, why are you being such a hater to the point where you're sitting here talking about me in front of me to your husband? And it was this crazy thing, right? Because I've ran across people that do this. So she's basically talking about me, right? But she's pretending like she's talking about herself. But then she starts pointing out certain things about me, which leads me to believe you're not talking about yourself. You're talking about me. You're talking about me. And this is another thing. The husband kept saying little things on the side. So that's when I'm like, okay, she's the Jezebel spirit, and her husband is a narcissist, because I'm clearly not doing nothing to neither one of them. I've been nothing but polite to them, if anything. I actually went over and beyond and had patience enough to even wait for these people. So the fact that they were sitting here talking about me like I was not there, or as if they weren't talking about me, and then she started giving out like little pointers. Oh yeah, I would do this, and I would do this differently, and I would wear this, and I would do this like this. So she's like pointing everything out, not knowing that I clearly don't give a damn. And her opinion to me really don't matter. You don't have to point out things about myself that I already know about myself, or things that are done intentionally that I did intentionally. You don't have to. And then this is another thing. She started to compare herself to me, and I thought it was the weirdest shit, because I'm not even competing with you, but it was her way of almost, maybe in her mind, she got some type of satisfaction, almost like to her husband, to her narcissistic husband, like, I'm better than her, see, people can say like she has her own insecurities, right? But in a way, it's like, but I'm better than her type of attitude, right? But if you're so much better, why are you focused on me in the first place? Why are you even focusing on me? Why do I have to be the highlight of your night, of your conversation? So when she starts speaking about me and saying little things, but she's trying to act like she's talking about herself, right? So I'm just listening to the bitch. She's acting like she's talking about herself. And this is the thing about empaths. When you've been fucked around with narcissists, you start paying attention to everything. You listen to conversations. You're all ears when it comes to people. Even if they're not talking to you, if they're talking about other people, you listen to people's conversations because a lot of people, especially narcissists, what they tend to do is that they tend to start talking about, the narcissist starts talking about themselves a lot of times, or they'll start talking about their business, like whatever is going on with them, they'll start talking about that. They'll start talking about other people. It's almost like they know you're listening and they want you to listen to what they're saying. It's like there's this little arrogance in them where they're like talking to someone, and it's like they know you're listening, but they don't care, but they kind of want you to listen. It's like they want you to listen to their conversations, right? Because if you're with someone, with a friend, and there's someone in the room that you don't know, and you don't want to bring that person into your world. You feel like that person doesn't even have the right to know who you are as a person. Like, that person doesn't have a right to know my business. You're going to actually be quiet until that person is gone. Or you might end up being quiet with your friend. Or you might end up tell your family member, like, shut up, don't say nothing. Like, because you don't want people in your business, right? What narcissists tend to do sometimes is that they tend to start talking out loud about other things going on in their life because they know you're listening. And then what they want you to do is either start talking to them, like have an input. They want to have conversations where they're asking questions or saying things. So they want you to include yourself in their conversation. And when you don't do that, when you don't include yourself, they know you're not someone who's a gossiper. You don't include yourself. They know you're not that friendly. So then once they realize you're not that friendly enough to jump into, friendly and rude enough to jump into their conversation, because that's something they would do. They will jump up in your business and act like they're trying to help you or save you, but they're the type of people to jump into people's business. So now what they'll do is that they'll be quiet, right? They'll be like, oh, this person didn't jump into the conversation. So now while they're talking to this person, they're wondering why you didn't jump into the conversation. They're like, that person didn't jump into the conversation and say anything. So now they're staring at you. They're looking at things that they feel like you might be insecure about, and now they start talking about something that they think you might be insecure about, right? Which you might not be insecure about it, but you know that a narcissist that's competing with you would assume that you're insecure about this, because their whole thing is to point out things, to take energy from people, to make people feel less than. So they'll start talking about you right in front of you. And that's what this lady started doing. She started talking about me right in front of me. But she's acting like she's speaking about herself. Then she's talking in third person. And the whole time I'm thinking, like, why is she talking about me? Our interaction was pretty short, right? Our interaction, me being around her and her husband, was pretty short. Maybe like 15 minutes. But those 15 minutes felt like a fucking hour with her, because she's running her fucking mouth, making it seem like she's not talking about me, but I knew she was talking about me. And the whole time I'm looking at her husband, and he's saying little things on the side, but he's not talking too much. So that's when I knew your husband's a narcissist too, and he's enabling you. But you think you're the greater narcissist, but it seems like he's the greater narcissist, because it seems like you're probably the one that's paying for everything. It seems like you're probably the breadwinner. It seems like you buy him or do things to make him, to give him, to feed his narcissism, right? It seems like you're feeding his narcissism, and he's feeding your narcissism because you're a hateful person, and he already know that, because he's a hater too. He's a hater too. If you weren't doing stuff for him, he probably hates you too. Is that you're giving him supplies, so this is why he's being nice. So I'm like peeping the whole shit out, the whole relationship out, and I could tell you two are not happy people. You guys came out, you're talking about all the young people around here. You're talking about, oh, I just don't like to be in crowds where there's young people, because if a young person, if anybody say something to me, I'm going to fuck them up. I'm going to beat them up. Talking like that, right? I'm going to beat them up. And you're a whole grown-ass woman, these people were way older than me, right? And I'm thinking to myself, you're talking about the immaturity of young people, but I've seen young people be more mature than you. And then you're sitting here, oh, nobody better do or say anything, be disrespectful. And the whole time you're disrespecting me. So narcissists don't like being disrespected, but they will literally sit there and dog you out, tear you up, compare themselves to you, right? This woman's comparing herself to me, and she didn't even look all that, right? But she's sitting there comparing herself to me, picking at things that I can't fucking control. You know, and I'm thinking to myself, dang, no matter how much I avoid narcissists, I literally don't go to certain places just to avoid them. But for some reason, they still will come and talk to you and talk about you right in front of you, look at you. You go to the store, you go get some food. Don't matter where you go, they're all over the place, and they're fucking with you. They're saying things, they're giving you funny looks. And this is another thing, right? This is another thing. Narcissists act like they're invisible or something. Like you can't see them. Like you can't see their eye contact and their body language. So I told you guys the other day there was something going on with my rim, and I had to go and get a new rim at this tire place or whatnot. So when I had went up there, they had messed up one of my sensors. So when I had went back, the dude told me, hey, park in the first parking garage. just go right in, like just drive right in, right? So when I get there, I drive right in, and I could tell that there was a young woman and a dude there, and I could tell that you're not supposed to just drive up into the parking garage, because when you're getting your car serviced, what they do there is that they drive your car into the garage. So I already knew their program there, because I had already been there. So I already knew they're the ones that drive your car up in there. And when he told me that, I was like, I already expected that maybe the workers were gonna be like, what the hell are you doing, right? So I drive in there, and the girl is looking at me crazy, right? And then a dude starts looking at me crazy. But the dude, his face changes. Like, he kind of calms down a bit, because he's looking at me like, what the hell are you doing? But then his face kind of, he went from like, what the hell are you doing, to, I'm going to ask her, like, what does she need, right? I'm going to take the initiation of asking her, what does she need? So he starts kind of like walking towards me slowly while I'm parking in there. And I'm putting my window down, because I'm like, I know he's going to approach me. But the girl, she did not move from the spot where she was at in front of my car, right? She was right in front. And she just kept staring at me. Her eyes wouldn't stop staring at me. So while he's moving towards me, gonna ask me a question, I'm sitting there looking at them, studying them. I'm studying them. She starts staring. She keeps staring at me, still locking eyes, and she's smiling, but like not smiling, like grinding her teeth, right? Like with her mouth open and her nose kind of like, got her nose scrunched up, and like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you're a weird bitch. Why would you just pull in the driveway like that? It's just like, got this dumb look on her face that's just staring at me, right? Dude's walking up to me. So I'm calm, because I already know, like, I'm not mad. First of all, I'm not mad when I explain what I go through. I'm not mad. I'm shocked at people and how people behave, because I study everything. I'm always cautious of how I treat others. I'm always cautious in the faces that I make, so in situations where someone might get bullied and everyone is laughing, I'm always conscious enough to know, don't laugh, bitch. This isn't funny. You don't want to hurt people's feelings. I'm always conscious of these things. So I'm looking like, why isn't she conscious that she's staring at me and giving me the nastiest faces? And why isn't she conscious enough to know that this is a business? So imagine if you messed something up in my car, a sensor, you fucked up my sensor. I'm not a narcissist, so I'm not going to go crazy on your ass. But if you're dealing with a narcissist, you could just imagine what a narcissist would do and how they would probably react. Because if you're going somewhere where they messed up your car and the owner tells you pull in, and the employees are giving you nasty looks and looking like they're ready to jump on you, like it's a party, and they're like ready to jump on you and aggressive, because they're stressed out, so they have an aggressive personality. And if you're pissed off that they messed up your sensors and they wasted your time, and you're going there to get serviced again, and you got the people that are supposed to service you giving you ugly faces, that's bad business, because you messed something up in my car, and then I'm coming to get it fixed, and the same people that fucked up my shit got an attitude, right? So she's scrunching up her face, and I'm telling the guy, I said, the owner told me to park here or whatnot. He's like, oh, okay. I was wondering while you were driving in. I was like, yeah, he told me to drive in. I just spoke to him on the phone because they messed my sensor up and he's gonna fix it right now. The girl, she's still staring at me like with the nasty look, with the nasty face, right? And I understand, you know, she's young, but I'm like looking like, what the hell is her problem? So I'm telling him what happened. She's still looking at me crazy. The boss comes out because he doesn't even get a chance to tell the girl what I said. The boss comes out. He's smiling, you know, about to do his good customer service. And the girl's still staring. So I look at the boss and I said, why is she staring at me like that? And he's like, what? And he turns. And then I was like, I could tell she's young, but good customer service, you need to watch your face and the eyes and your facial expressions, right? So she gives me this, like, you know, like when I'm talking to the boss, she's like squinting her eyes and shit, doing weird shit. And so I turn around and I look at her and I said, you do know that I can see you, right? And she goes, what? Like all stupid, right? And I said, you do know that I can see you. Your facial expressions, I said, they're really nasty. I was like, he told me to park here because my car they messed up my car. And she goes, oh, okay. And she's like smiling. Now her whole energy switch. But she's a Jezebel spirit. I could just tell. I could tell. You know, they got the really pretty girl working there, you know, around all these men, you know. So I could tell she had the Jezebel spirit, and her attitude was just nasty all the way around. Anybody else with that type of attitude, they would have been out of there a long time ago. But narcissists and Jezebels, they get around, you know, and people allow them to behave any kind of way, while an empath or someone that people don't admire or look up to, or whatever the case is, if you had that, if you were, let's just say, if you were someone who's not attractive and you had that same type of attitude, they will fire you because they would feel like you're not that attractive to be that confident and to be that snobby. Who the hell do you think you are, right? So it's only okay for her to do it, for him to do it, right? It's only okay for certain people to do it. So certain narcissists, people let them slide with their bad behavior, even at jobs. So they all get together at these jobs and they're all narcissists and Jezebel spirits all over the damn place. And these people come off as really nice people or whatnot, but they'll say things, do things, have conversations, give you nasty body language right in front of you, and you literally don't have to do nothing to the narcissist for them to expose themselves to you. That's what I've learned about narcissists. From the moment that I walked out of the narcissistic people in my life, and I started paying attention to human beings out in the world on an everyday basis, even avoiding people, because I avoid people as much as I can. So what I realized, a lot of times I'm in a position of power. I'm in a position where I don't have to answer to nobody. And because of this, I get to have some type of peace that some people just don't have. And excuse me. And because of this, I could act arrogant. I could do the same things that narcissists do, but for what? It's not who I am as a person. It's not something that, I don't think too much into other people and fucking with other people. So I get surprised when these narcissists will sit there and talk about you right in front of you. Like I said, just like this lady did. And the whole third person, you know, speaking in third person. And then they drop hints that they're talking about you, because it's no going around it. And when they realize that you might catch on to that they're talking about you, they'll say something to throw you off. So what she did was she said something to try to throw me off. She's saying all these things, and then she's trying to make it seem like she's talking about herself. But I knew she was talking shit about me. Then when she feels, oh, she's going to figure out I'm talking about her, she said, out of nowhere, she goes, what did she say? She goes, but I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about like in general with people. She said something like that. Like, I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about in general with people. If you're not talking about yourself, you're talking about in general with people, then why this whole time you were talking shit, you made it seem like you were talking about these things were about yourself. That's how I know you're full of shit, because what you've been talking about this whole time is about me, and you made it seem like you were talking about yourself, and now you're saying, oh, you're contradicting yourself. Now you're saying, oh, but I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about just in general with people. Then you start talking about young people. Then you start talking about fighting. Oh, that's why I don't like, because I don't like people saying nothing to me. I'll fight you, you know, and then the husband's like, yeah, pop off, babe, pop off, like feeding into her narcissism. So these people don't like for you to talk about them, but they will talk about you. They will give you ugly faces, interrogate you, ask you personal questions. And when you're dealing with a narcissist person, they will always reveal themselves to you, right?